It's October 19th, 1999, at about 5 minutes after 6 in the evening. Cool and crisp autumn evening in the city of Plattsburgh, with a large number of people beginning to gather at this hour for what we think will be a rather momentous occasion. And that is the occasion of the City of Plattsburgh Civic Testimonial Dinner honoring the Georgia-Pacific Corporation. It's in the Warren Ballroom in the Angel College Center on the campus of Plattsburgh SUNY, and a number of speeches and what Calvin and I both hope will be a glorious meal will accompany us throughout the evening. Georgia-Pacific has been here for a long, long time, one of the North Country's major contributors to the North Country economy. It's been a stalwart forever and ever and ever. Some of the great historic buildings on the campus of Georgia-Pacific, right on the north end of Plattsburgh on North Margaret Street, have housed such great historical places as the Auto Works many years ago and the Boat Works, and now the great Georgia-Pacific Mill. Georgia-Pacific, a common name, a household name throughout America, but one of their great plants is located right here in Plattsburgh. Throughout the course of this evening, there'll be a little music, there'll be a little food, there'll be a little drink, and there'll be a lot of great speeches. Let me tell you what to expect in the course of our program tonight. First of all, this is being put on by the City of Plattsburgh. We haven't seen civic testimonial dinners for the most part since the close of Plattsburgh Air Force Base several years ago. It's about time to get them started once again. There will be welcoming remarks by Mayor Clyde Rabideau, the City of Plattsburgh, who will be the Master of Ceremonies for tonight's program. The invocation will be given by Reverend Franklin Blanks. We'll have the national anthem. Who would you guess among North Country people would sing the national anthem? And we say star of stage and screen, having sung in several major ballparks in and around New York City. Our own Cortland Wood will be here tonight. Mayor will be introducing special guests tonight. There will be a dinner, and then we'll have some remarks throughout the evening by way of paying tribute to Georgia-Pacific Corporation, and indeed they should be honored. You'll hear remarks by Gary Douglas, the President and CEO of Plattsburgh and Clinton County Chamber of Commerce. You'll hear remarks by Don Garrett, who is the Chairman of the Clinton County Legislature. You'll hear Assemblyman Chris Ortloff. You'll hear Senator Ron Stafford. There will be a 9-minute video presentation in the middle. I have no idea what it will be, but I'm sure it will be a good one, talking about the tremendous qualities we all know and love surrounding Georgia-Pacific Corporation. Our keynote address tonight will be given by A.D. Pete Carell, who is the Chairman of the Board and CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Georgia-Pacific and President of Georgia-Pacific Corporation here in Plattsburgh. There'll be thank yous by Jeannie Roberts, whom we all know and love as the Executive Director of the American Red Cross in this area, and a special presentation, I'm sure, honoring Georgia-Pacific by Mayor Clyde Rabideau to close out the evening. Before the festivities actually begin, and we have just about 20 minutes before dinner time, if you can hear my stomach growling, we'll try to do a few interviews from some of the principals involved and give you an idea what the festivities are all about. And we thank you for joining us for this edition of Our Little Corner. And if you think Clyde and I are going to dance to the music, you're wrong.
I think it's a minuet, Gordy. We haven't done a minuet in a long time. Only in our youth in high school.
A long time ago.
That was homeschooling back then, probably.
Oh, boy. It looks like we're going to have a great evening tonight. And may I say, it's nice to see two things. Another civic testimonial, reminiscent of the great days we had, so many of those on the former Air Force Base. And it's great to pay honor to this organization. We talk about new businesses in this area, but Georgia-Pacific has been such a stalwart. Thank you for organizing this night tonight. What can we expect, Clyde?
Well, let me first say that this is not the biggest brainstorm of the century, because I just took a page out of Clyde Lewis's playbook. Clyde Lewis is a master at many things, and one of them was showing appreciation to the people and decision makers and companies that make a difference in our community. And that's what we're doing tonight. And I just expect an unprecedented evening, because it's an unprecedented event. We have a very special guest of honor, and you can't get any bigger than the CEO, Chairman of the Board, and President of Georgia-Pacific. So, when this broadcast is done, the Mets will have already played Atlanta, and so I can say he's from Atlanta. We appreciate him being up here. But it's going to be a great evening already. It's pretty big.
Yeah, we hope to have, I don't know, a couple hundred or several hundred?
300. 300 have made reservations. Might be a few more.
There'll be a few nice speeches and a nice presentation at the end.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We can look forward to some terrific remarks, and I'm sure Pete Carell, the CEO, will bless us with his words of wisdom and vision for the city of Plattsburgh and for the Georgia Pacific Corporation. You know, it was a president, I can't remember who it was, but who said that what's good for GM is good for America. It might have been the chairman of the board of GM, but what's good for GP is good for Plattsburgh.
They've been connected with this city for a long, long time. I mentioned a few of the old buildings that were part of the old Lozier Auto Works and Boat Works many years ago. But for a long time, we saw that big tower, that big smokestack up there, which was a landmark. And then that came down, and that was a piece of history all by itself. But this company has brought a lot of wonderful people into this area, hasn't it, over the years?
Absolutely, Gordy. And all one would have to do is go by Georgia Pacific every day or every week or every month, and you will see a legacy there. And that legacy is on the reader board where it says, "Thank you, John Smith, for 33 great years of service. Thank you, Joe Johnson, for 40 years of great service." It happens almost every day, and you don't see that every day. You don't see a company that stays here in a town for generations giving consistent work to the community.
Well, as I said before, it's about time we do it. Let's get on with the show, and thanks for
Amen
inviting
and hallelujah. Thank you, Gordy. Thank you, Calvin.
We're going to have a raffle tonight to see who's been around longer, Georgia Pacific or Senator Ron Stafford.
No, Georgia Pacific. I remember when it was BFD, Burst Foster Dixfield. And of course, before that, it was a Saranac Paper Company, I believe. And we all remember drawing pulp to the mill. We've all had friends work in the mill. And of course, Georgia Pacific is a great citizen. A great citizen. Mr. Carell, his whole team, the local people we're partial to. I have friends that I graduated from high school with that have worked there, and now they're retired, Gordy.
Can you believe that? Time flies when you're having fun. How are you feeling, Ron?
Well, thank you. How about you?
Well, you're looking great, and I feel terrific, too.
Still in Morrisonville?
Yep, still in the same place. But, it is nice to honor a business. We talk about all the great new businesses on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, but it is great to honor one of the old stalwarts.
You just hit something that I've often said. You've probably heard me say this, maybe sometimes too much. Listen, we all want to do business. We're not against that. But sometimes we forget the local businesses that have been here for years. And in all candor, I think some areas enjoyed General Electric for years. And maybe forgot that they should be considered an important citizen.
We're going to do it tonight.
Thank you, Gordy.
I'll eat my share at dinner if you will, too.
Thank you very much.
See you later, Ron.
God bless.
Senator Ron Stafford, who's been in the business a long time in the North Country, knows a good thing when he sees one, and not just the meal tonight, but Georgia Pacific as well. When somebody told me there was going to be a civic testimonial in Plattsburgh, I said, oh my gosh, the air base is coming back.
Yes, and it's a thrill for me because I'm going to wrap this one up just like I did on the base for 43 years. You know, there's a lot of confidence in an elder statesman like me.
The old soldier, Mr. Joe Bonestein. I was really delighted to see a nice editorial about your friend and mine, Clyde Lewis, in the Press Republican. It's great to honor him, and it's great to honor Georgia Pacific tonight. The reason we're sitting here is because Joe and I go back more than 2 or 3 years almost into antiquity, but he goes back farther than I do in connection with the Plattsburgh Air Force Base. He and Clyde were helping to get the liaison committee going and the base built way back in the 50s, and I was just a young kid working on construction, helping to build the base. Little did I know that years later I would become a part of that liaison committee, and Joe never missed one of those testimonials, did you?
Well, no, I didn't. I really didn't. It was almost like a compulsion. But the one thing I want to tell you, Gordy, is this. That was 50 years ago. I was a young sprout, 27 or 8 years old. And, I'm sure you remember this. I looked a lot like Steve McQueen.
Just exactly like him.
And it was often mistaken. I had a thick amount of blonde hair.
Yeah, and Steve McQueen didn't know Montreal half as good as you did.
Well, that's true. And I remember taking one or two of the first CEOs up here to Montreal just to show them the way.
And a couple of them never came back, right?
No, this is serious. These were CEOs from Georgia Pacific.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I knew that. And then I also took, that led to my taking General LeMay, one of the toughest generals in the history of the United States Air Force, certainly. I took him up one day.
General Curtis LeMay.
Yep. And he said to me, and we were coming back about 2 in the morning, he said, Joe, he said, this is the first time I've ever become bilingual in one night.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe Bornstein has been one of the stalwarts. He's just as strong now as he was 50 years ago. He could probably go 6 innings and play 7 or 8 periods of basketball.
No, the only athletic achievement I can point to with pride is I can still score an occasional touchdown, but I can't kick the extra point.
I was working on the Giants, and they finally won their game. We're broadcasting this in October, and the Giants had a heck of a game, as did the Yankees last night. And I don't know if Calvin's a Met fan or not, but by the time this airs, that will have been decided too. I'll guarantee you that. Joseph?
It's always a pleasure, Gordo. Yeah. Always a pleasure to
Same
talk.
Right back to you. Thank you for all your years of service to the North Country. It's really nice to be here tonight to honor Georgia Pacific.
It is indeed. It's a thrill.
See you later, Joseph.
Okay, thanks, Gordy. Thank you, sir.
One of the few people that's been around Clinton County longer than I have is Bob Bruno, and he's with us tonight. Bobby, how are you?
Good. How are you, Gordy?
It's great. I'm just feeling good. Isn't it nice to get together to honor such a great business as Georgia Pacific?
Oh, I think it's tremendous. These people have been really forward with the community. Everything that they have promised to do, they have done. And I can vouch for some of that because they told us several years ago that they were going to build this very enormous warehouse. It was done. The employee factor was increased. I think it's tremendous. It's been the heart and soul of this community.
Bob Bruno has done a lot of things in the North Country. He and I go back to the great old airborne racing days. And I was just telling Bob how we did a little historical sketch on airborne, and he wasn't there that weekend, but that would have been fun because you have so many great memories on the track, right?
Oh, some tremendous memories. For years and years. As my wife said, I performed out there for 20 years. It was great.
It's great. And how long with the legislature?
2 different terms. I was on the last board of supervisors that we had, and then I came back and served 8 terms on the legislature. So I had 16 years there, plus the previous terms as supervisor. So I had a sufficient amount of time.
We're recording this before the political season. Watching these people going door to door, do you get the itch?
Not at all. I'm very happy with what I'm doing right at the present time. I love this retirement. I wish I could have done it about 50 years ago.
I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. You look great, Bob. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you very much, Gordy.
The crowd gets larger and larger, and the din gets louder and louder, but we've come in a corner under the light here to meet Pete Carell. We told you he was going to be here. Pete, thanks so much for being with us tonight. It's a great night.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for honoring my company. We're just really excited about it.
This has been a stalwart in this area for a long, long time. We've known many people connected with this organization. I have for the last, almost 40 years, and Georgia Pacific's been here longer than that.
Well, this was our very first tissue mill, and now we're the 3rd largest tissue producer in the United States. This mill's been critical to that growth strategy, and this mill's a critical part of our future. And as you say, the relationship we've had with this community is just the model we'd like to have all across the country.
You know, this is kind of a unique area, and we were proud to have an air base here for a long, long time, and then it closed. So we're so glad the Georgia Pacific is going to hang around for a while.
Well, we're going to be here a long time. As I say, this place has been good to us. We like it here. We've developed a lot of good managers here who've gone on to other places in the company. So Plattsburgh's a star. We're proud of it.
How long have you been connected with GP?
I've been with the company since 1988. I came from the Mead Corporation in Dayton, Ohio, and it's been the best decision I ever made.
Tell me a little bit about what's happening with Georgia Pacific these days.
Well, we've just dramatically grown our tissue business by our acquisition of Wisconsin Tissue, based over in Menasha, Wisconsin, but they have an operation over here in Greenwich, New York, very close to you. That doubled our tissue business. We've just acquired Unisource, the largest paper merchant in the United States. So our sales next year will be about $23 billion, which is up dramatically. And our building products business is good. We're having the second best year in the company's history, so we all feel pretty good.
And this is the guy that's responsible for all of it, too, right?
I don't know about that. At least the cheerleader.
But you're working hard.
I am working hard, but we're having fun.
Where are you based? Where do you live?
Atlanta, Georgia.
It's a good place to be.
The company moved to Atlanta in 1982 from Portland, Oregon, and Atlanta's moving east has been good for our company.
Thanks again for coming here tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Every time I talk to this guy, I'm reminded of the days when we both smoked way too many cigarettes. We used to sit around a microphone at the radio station and talk about the state of the city. When was that, John?
Oh, my Lord, it's about 25 years ago now. It's a long time.
Former Plattsburgh Mayor John Iannelli. He and I have been friends for a long time.
Yep.
What the heck have you been doing lately, John?
Trying to keep working, keep busy, keep enjoying life.
You're feeling good, aren't you?
Oh, yes. Doing really well. I'm trying to keep up with you.
Don't you ever worry about that.
John, great turnout tonight. It's long overdue. Georgia Pacific has been a great addition to the community. I'm only sorry I never thought of doing something like this when I was mayor.
We had a lot of civic testimonials back in those days on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, but it's great to do it now. And I just wanted to get a couple of comments from you because Georgia Pacific was one of our leading industries way back when you were mayor.
Yes. They put an enormous amount of money in the city. Our sewage treatment plant, they paid for a good portion of that. They give us a lot of money in MLD every year, and a lot of money in the water department. They've been a great addition to the community, aside from the jobs and the rest of what they've done.
You know, it's amazing because when John was in office, way back even before that, we thought the city was going to expand like crazy toward the north on Route 9.
Yes.
Guess where it went?
Fooled everybody. Urban renewal didn't work.
So it headed west, right?
Yes.
But you've seen a lot of growth in the city. You have to be pleased at what's happened to Plattsburgh.
Oh, yes. There's been some nice changes. Downtown looking good. Some good industry coming in. Good jobs. The economy is picking up again. I'm very optimistic.
And every year with his wife, we go down and judge the sand sculpture, so life can't be too bad, right?
That's the fun part of the year.
I love it. John, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Gordy.
Our friend, former mayor of the city of Plattsburgh, John Iannelli. Hello. Mr. Humility himself, Bill Brooks, who runs the show up by the border at Wyeth Ayers Labs. How are you, William?
Oh, great. Wonderful night.
It's a great night.
Yeah, it's terrific.
No, it's pretty neat to have a testimonial like this. Your organization has been part of the North Country for a long time, but Georgia Pacific has been here a long time.
Yes, it's fantastic. It's really, really good.
So what are we going to eat tonight? I don't know if I got my choice of food or not.
I think we got prime rib going. So
You and I managed
I hope
to-
my wife doesn't see this. She told me I shouldn't eat prime rib anymore. So.
Really?
That's right.
Well, listen, if she tells you you can't, I'll sit very close to you and you just shove it over with
Okay.
You and I have talked before on camera, but let's do it again. How long have you been up here?
This will be 5 years now that I've been up in Rouse's Point.
Is that possible?
It's unbelievable that time's gone so fast. But it's been great, and we've gotten so many things done, and we've had so many changes in the business. It's really exciting.
you and I have talked before, but I think it's important to let people know that organizations like yours are the real backbone of what goes on in the North Country. Did you? What was the most interesting thing you found out about Rouse's Point when you moved to this area?
Well, I guess it was. I guess it was the long tradition and how long the plant had been there and how dedicated everybody was. There were just. I didn't even realize that it was there for 50, 60 years. I thought it was. The place looked so brand new and it's been kept so well and everyone's done such a great job. But I guess the long tradition is the thing that struck me most.
The people up here are pretty decent people too, aren't they?
They're outstanding. You know, we have a great work ethic. Within the plants, within the company, we really have a great reputation of being the can-do plant. And I think that's what the spirit is of the North Country, is that when you get a task to do, we always find a way to get it done.
Give us some amazing revelation about what Wyeth Arist is doing that you'd like the world to know about right now.
Well, we're continuing to expand. We have a great new product that's really, it's a new form of a product that's been out a few years. It's called Effexor XR. It's an antidepressant and it's going blockbusters. It's great. And we have one manufacturing piece of equipment and we're in the process of starting up a second and ordering a third. So it's a fantastic growth. We're looking at it being $1 billion product.
Wow.
Within the next, probably within the next 2 or 3 years.
I think that's something to grow.
It's great. We got lots of building, construction going on, and continuing to grow and build at the plant in Rouse's Point.
Just to give people a little perspective who may not know, how many people do you employ up there?
Well, between our site and Chazy, we have 1,400 people.
You wonder why they give so much to the United Way every year.
Well, and I'll say the people talking about the United Way, I'm really proud of what they did this year. We donated $108,000, and not only do we have a lot of participation, but we have some very strong giving from everybody too.
That is a very large.
Something else about the spirit of the people.
That's a very large piece of the United Way pie every year.
I think it's about 12 or 15%. Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being with us here tonight.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Stick around for a long time, Bill.
Okay, we will. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I was watching that Yankee game last night, and the guy sitting there in the stands cheering for the Yankees is right here at the college tonight. If this guy doesn't look like Steinbrenner, I don't know who does.
And I'm as much of a Yankee fan as he is, believe me.
I love it. Don Guerin, how are you?
Fine. I'm wonderful because the Yankees in the World Series.
Don't you love it?
Oh, I love it.
We don't know who will have won by the time this program gets on the air, but we hope it's in pinstripes.
I do too.
Don Guerin is the chairman of the Clinton County Legislature, has been a friend of mine, and he's been around here for a long time, connected with this wonderful institution. We're standing in the Warren Ballroom. That evokes pleasant memories all by itself.
Sure does. Charlie Warren was one of our great presidents. Really miss him.
One of the great people on the face of the earth.
He was really good. I've been fortunate to work for 4 outstanding presidents, starting with George Angel. They're all different individuals, but they've all performed a great service for this college, believe me.
Nobody had a nice hat like George had and a nice pipe.
Right.
Don, we're here tonight to honor a local or a company that's been such a strong part of our organization here in the North Country, has hired so many wonderful people. How many great CEOs have we known? How many of our friends and neighbors have spent their entire working years at Georgia Pacific?
Very appropriate that we do this, Gordy. Georgia Pacific has about 500 and some employees. The contribution to the economy of Clinton County is $100 million a year when you divide it by the factor of the indirect economic impact. The payroll is about $25 million a year, and they're so great in the community for the many things they do, from the bulletin board that they put outside their institution where they promote various events. And you may not know it, but when we were trying to decide, the county legislature, whether we were going to build that science technology building, Georgia Pacific was one of the industries in the area that promoted it and helped us promote it with other industries, because they saw the need to provide a 2-year education in industrial technology to some of their people who worked for them. And they thought it would be a great need for their workforce. And so they sold it for us, and we decided to put $5 million in. The state put another $5 million, so we have a beautiful science technology building, which benefits not only Georgia Pacific, but other industries in Clinton County.
We've spent a lot of time talking about Clinton Community College and how it's grown over the last few years, and we're kind of proud to have them right here in our midst.
We sure are.
And they're going to be now contributing to this technological workforce that we're trying to create for years to come.
Very true. And the Georgia Pacic's been a good sound industry. I think they've been with us as Georgia Pacific for about 35 years now, and let's hope we have 35, 70, 105 more years of a good working relationship that we have. They're very civic-minded. They do many things for our community. Many of their employees are involved in many organizations, and they're just a great asset to Clinton County.
We had the pleasure of interviewing Pete Carell, a real down-to-earth guy, who is very happy that with this group, and he's very happy with what his company's doing these days. They're growing by leaps and bounds.
Yes, they've really they spend a lot of money here, as you know, to stay competitive with other companies that they compete with, and it's just a good sound industry, and we're very fortunate to have them in Plattsburgh and Clinton County, and they deserve to be honored as it being the case tonight.
That's great, Don. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Glad to be here. Nice to see the great Calvin Castine.
Don't you love it, huh? All right, now look at this pair. Look at this pair. They're both exactly the same age, too. Gary, move over next to me over here. Step over. Yeah, we'll let you wet your whistle, Gary Douglas. We already told people you were a prominent part of the program tonight.
I am?
Uh-oh. You mean you didn't write a speech?
Is this the Rotary Club? Am I in the right place?
It's not noontime. How are you, Gary?
Very good, Gordy.
What a beautiful crowd.
It's a great crowd, great city, great region.
We're talking about Georgia Pacific tonight. What would we do without them?
Great company. They're an excellent example of really just a terrific foundation we have here in terms of good corporate citizens. The ones that have sustained this community through good times and bad times until we get to the good times that are there ahead of us that they're now going to be a part of. But it's taken companies like Georgia Pacific and Wyeth and Tenneco and a lot of those other companies. Many of them are a very quiet presence in this area, but they've been there for years, doing a job, producing products, providing jobs, and I think it's just outstanding. The city is chosen to give us an opportunity to say thank you to one of those companies tonight.
Gary Douglas is a pretty far-sighted guy, and I wish I had a copy.
I'm actually nearsighted.
I wish I had a copy of the first interview you and I ever did way back when, as you gave us your vision of the future in this for the city of Plattsburgh, Clinton County, and the North Country.
But then they know how wrong I was. We don't want to go back and look at that.
We reached most of your goals in the first 6 months. Who could have ever predicted when you first came here that Plattsburgh and Clinton County and this North Country, Lake Champlain region would be doing what it's doing right now?
Well, never underestimate my capacity to be in the right place at the right time.
Isn't it cool, though?
It's easy to look good when you're in the right place at the right time.
Ups and downs, the loss of Plattsburgh Air Force Base, the loss of all that Canadian traffic southward, it made us think a little bit. It made us work a little harder, but look what we're doing.
Just incredible opportunities. Our connection with Montreal is it is absolutely exciting. I'm spending 2 or 3 days a week up there, building relationships for the area, for the chamber, for the business community. And I'll tell you, we're going to be releasing the 1998 numbers for the impact of Canada on this area at the end of this month. And once again, I'm not going to reveal those numbers ahead of time, but they're incredible, and they show.
Can't you whisper it?
No, I'm not going to whisper. I'm just going to say incredible. But they show that in every area where we want that impact to be growing, things like employment, cross-border trade, the things that are generating jobs in this area are up. They're up strongly. There's no end in sight. This area is now a global gateway. We're not an isolated region anymore. But I want to say just again, in connection with this evening's honoree, Georgia Pacific, they're part of that. Because something had to be part of building this economy and making this community the kind of receptive community that it is, so it would be ready, it would be here, it would have a good workforce, it would have a good economy, it would have good leadership, so we could take advantage of the opportunities that are there for us now. And Georgia Pacific is at the top of that list.
Things like this don't happen all by themselves. It takes a lot of hard work to do it, but by golly, when you're where we are today, it's fun to look back and say it was worth the struggle.
absolutely worth the struggle. We had good stuff to work with, but we also worked with it. A lot of areas, I tell you look around this state, a lot of areas wring their hands, and all they talk about is the reasons why they can't do something, and woe is me. You know, when is somebody going to do something for us? Well, in the North Country, we're used to doing for ourselves, and that's probably good. It means, unfortunately, that maybe we lose something like Plattsburgh Air Force Base because there are some things we can't make happen for ourselves. But at the end of the day, we can make a lot of good things happen for ourselves and be a lot more positive when the bad things come along because we're a lot more self-reliant.
Pretty good sound bites there, huh? Guess what? We're going to do the whole schmear tonight. Good luck, and thanks so much for being here, and thanks for all your hard work, Gary Douglas.
Always a pleasure, Gordy.
My name is Clyde. You may have seen my name around town a little bit. I want to welcome you to an unprecedented event here in the city of Plattsburgh. Our first ever civic testimonial dinner honoring a private company, and what a private company it is. Here with the city of Plattsburgh for nearly a half a century, contributing to our greater Plattsburgh area in a way that's unmatched by any other private concern. So often I've driven by this institution on Margaret Street and seen on the reader board almost every other week, congratulations to this person for 30 years of service, 28 years of service, 40 years of service. How many companies in America today can claim the privilege of providing employment and retirement for so many decades of contribution to the company? But we have that company here in the city of Plattsburgh. It's Georgia Pacific, and that's why we're here this evening. At this time, filling in for the Reverend Franklin Blanks, who is predisposed at the present time, we hope that he'll return. We'd like to call upon our member of assembly representing this district, 110th, to give us the invocation. Ladies and gentlemen, Assemblyman Chris Ortloff.
Please remain seated. Let us pray. Father, bestow your blessings on those of us in the room tonight and our families, those we hold dear, present company and absent friends. We thank you for the food we're about to partake of. We thank you for the spirit of free enterprise, which has built this great country, provided jobs and products for a free people and indeed for the world. We thank you for our community, for the people who live here, the people who gave it to us, and the people who will come after us. We thank you for our hopes and our dreams, and we ask your blessing on all of them. Especially we thank you for this company, Georgia Pacific, who has invested in this community for lo these many years and is committed to joining hands with us for a common future. In God's name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Chris. The next person I'd like to call on is well known to the North Country. This person has sung at various venues such as the Olympic Park, and last year at Yankee Stadium and at Shea Stadium. And you know, notwithstanding the fact that our honored guest is from Atlanta this evening, I kind of hope that we see some more games at those two stadiums in the next month or so. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a special privilege. It brings back warm memories of a very special time in our lives at Civic Testimonials to ask that Cortland Wood lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes
Please be seated, and as you're being seated, I want to make special note that our Reverend Franklin Blanks and his spouse Stephanie have arrived here. They're predisposed, as I told you, and hopefully he'll be able to stay around for our benediction, but he does have another engagement in Montreal to pick up some friends, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to make sure that we don't talk that long. Maybe that can happen. As we prepare to eat our food, I'd like to make some special introductions. First, I'd like to introduce a colleague on the City Common Council. In fact, her ward encompasses Georgia Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, a very special person, Councilor Shirley O'Connell. Another special friend of the North Country, longtime supervisor of the town of Plattsburgh, the former supervisor, Mr. Arthur LaFave. Former chairman of the Clinton County Legislature, Bob Bruno. Somebody leading a dynamic comeback at Plattsburgh Air Force Base, the Chief Executive Officer and President, Dan Winnicky. We also have the President of Local 140, and that's of the PACE International, Mr. Pete Sequin, right here. We have the President of the State University here in Plattsburgh, Dr. Horace Judd Judson. And we have the current Clinton County Legislative Chair, just retired from Plattsburgh State, and looking at, by the way, Don Garrett. I haven't seen him yet this evening, but I'm sure he's here. County Clerk John Zerlo. John. He was pinch hitting, did a good job, Reverend. I think you might want to sign him up. We got our, in fact, it might be a big help to me. Assemblyman Chris Ortlau. I'll be making other introductions through the evening, but there's a few more left at the present time. The plant manager at Georgia Pacific here in Plattsburgh, Karen Dickinson. Karen? When you say friend of the North Country, what do you think of? You think of Ronald D. Stafford, and that's who we have here. The Senator, Ron Stafford. And ladies and gentlemen, our special honored guest and keynote speaker, Mr. A.D. Pete Correll. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to enjoy each other's company and a fine meal, and we look forward to a tremendous presentation following it. Enjoy. Through the social hour, everybody said, hey, it's about time you did this. You should have done it long ago. We should do more of these. So I feel a little bit guilty that we haven't done this kind of testimonial salute to Georgia Pacific sooner. After all, you know, they've been here for 50 years, employed 554 people, and just spent $58 million in the Plattsburgh plant in the last 12 months. That is, $58 million. That's a lot of money. A few more introductions very quickly. We also have the chair of the College Council and my former Babe Ruth baseball coach, Bob Garrow. And even though he was my baseball coach and played for the Dodgers in an A or AA team, he can still take anybody on here one-on-one basketball, I can guarantee it. We've got some special friends from the Building and Construction Trades Council. We have Ray Jesse, John Donahue, Steve Brady, Ron Kent, and my IBEW union brother, Tom Millay. For all his thanks. You know, there's one person from our city council that's not here this evening. She sends her regards from California, where she underwent an operation where part of a lung was transplanted. And I know she wouldn't be here, but you know, there's somebody else that's very, very special here. and that's one of the donors. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to salute somebody that's tremendously special and will help to bring back, and has helped to bring back, a dedicated public servant to the city of Plattsburgh, and that's Mr. Richard Cantwell. Richard. The relationship that we have among the business community is very profound, and our local Chamber of Commerce is very dynamic and progressive in forging relationships not just among businesses, but between government and countries, as exemplified by our local chamber and led by the CEO and President. Here to offer remarks, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gary Douglas.
It's really very easy to talk about Georgia Pacific. I mean, when you think about the things that you could say about Georgia Pacific, you don't have to paper over it. They've been on a roll for years, and they're still on a roll in this community. But seriously, and truly seriously, in thinking about what I wanted to say in just a few minutes this evening that would be appropriate and that would hit the best of the many notes that I could think of saying about Georgia Pacific, I've ended up with two words that I want to cite, that I think tell a story about what's special about Georgia Pacific amongst companies generally, and certainly amongst companies here in the North Country. And those two words are loyalty and citizenship. Loyalty is something that nobody more than corporate America, unfortunately, has fractured over the last 10, 15, 20 years with communities, with their employees. They've fractured the traditional sense of loyalty that went back and forth between companies and companies and their employees. Georgia Pacific avoided that. Georgia Pacific didn't forget the importance of loyalty to its communities, to its employees, to the people that help make them succeed. A lot of companies that forgot that are now trying to get that back. Loyalty is an awfully hard thing, if not an impossible thing, to get back once you've fractured it, once you've said it isn't valuable and you've given it away. And that second word, as I said, is citizenship. And I'm talking about good corporate citizenship, because it goes beyond just maintaining that sense of loyalty. Georgia Pacific has always known, and every day, in so many ways, continues to show that it knows that communities matter. And particularly in the world of big corporations, of big business, again, a lot has changed in recent years. Things have globalized. And in so many cases around the country, around the world, you can see so many other companies cutting back. We'll improve our bottom line. Let's get out of all these charitable endeavors. Let's get away from all of these expenses with communities. It doesn't matter. We have to improve the bottom line. But Georgia Pacific understands that communities do matter. What is the thing that we hear most? And I'm looking at Karen when I say this. So we hear most from businesses large and small across this country today is their number one concern. And I'll tell you, and I think you all know the answer, it's workforce. They're all talking about workforce. Where does a good workforce come from? Workforce is people. A good workforce means good people. What produces good people? Good communities. If you don't have good communities, you don't have good people, and you don't have a good workforce. So striking down that connection with communities and walking away from the traditional corporate connection to building good communities is the worst prescription that any company could write for itself in terms of building its workforce. Georgia Pacific understands that, and they know that helping to build this community today is as important as it was 20 years ago, and they never walk away from that responsibility. They know that it's good business. It's not charity. It's not a giveaway to the community. It's not something off the bottom line. It's an investment in the bottom line. That building a good community will build a good business. And finally, I can't help but mention that one of those unseen contributions, or not unseen, actually it's very much seen, but when you think about contributions of a company to a community like Plattsburgh, you think about the donations and the capital campaigns and the committees and the commitment to all the organizations, many of whom I see represented here this evening. And Georgia Pacific does all those things. But I suggest that one of the most extraordinary things about Georgia Pacific through the years and right up to their current general manager and a lot of the other staff here at Georgia Pacific is they have contributed remarkable people to this community. One of the first person at Georgia Pacific that I met when I came here at the Chamber 7 years ago was the late, great Joe Curtis. And I'll tell you, Joe Curtis is a person, a soul who is emblazoned in my memory forever. I still think of Joe often. In fact, I can't help but think of Joe every day at the Chamber. Because in his brief time here in Plattsburgh, you want to talk about building strong parts of a community. Joe, in his couple of years at the Chamber, founded our government affairs program. He founded our industrial council. He got us involved in workforce. Half of what we're doing at the Chamber today was begun by Joe Curtis. And then Tom Nix came along and he was involved, and now Karen is here and she's involved. Just an extraordinary personal contribution that this company has made is that they've helped bring outstanding people at all levels of that company into town, and they're still doing that. And those people on a personal level are making contributions as well as the company. And when you put the quality of our people here in the North Country together with the quality of the people at Georgia Pacific, we got a team that's going to go on and do great things for Georgia Pacific and for the North Country for a long time to come. And it's my great pleasure on behalf of the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber to publicly say thank you for all Georgia Pacific has done, all you're doing today, and all I know you'll be doing for us in the future.
Thank you, Gary. Next, we have the chair of the Clinton County Legislature. You'll notice that he has good color. He's very relaxed. I mentioned that he just retired and he's perfecting his pasta sauce recipe when Mary lets him in the kitchen. And he's also visiting a lot of grandchildren throughout the country and well-deserved family time. Ladies and gentlemen, the chair of the county legislature, the Honorable Don Garrett. Thank you, Clyde. If I might have the opportunity, I would like to introduce the one legislator who's here tonight, the Honorable Steve Bouye from the town of Plattsburgh. Steve, would you stand up and take a bow? Thank you. In addition to being the chair of the county legislature, I'm privileged that Georgia Pacific is in my legislative district, the 10th legislative district, and I've always been very proud of the fact that such an important industry is part of the district. It's a pleasure for me to bring greetings on behalf of the county legislature to this well-deserved testimonial recognizing Georgia Pacific's contributions to Clinton County. We're especially honored to have Mr. Carell here to experience tonight our appreciation and community spirit firsthand. For 35 years now, Georgia Pacific has been one of the keystones of our local economy. Today, many of you may not know it, but GP employs more than 550 persons and has an annual payroll of $25 million. Another $6 million is spent by GP purchasing goods and services here in our local community. When one considers the multiplier effect of these dollars turning over in our county, it reaches over $100 million annually. Since 1964, Georgia Pacific has continued to expand its operations in Clinton County. Not only has GP invested in technology, but more important, it has invested in people. And this is very important to us. This industry has worked closely with our local community college to provide its employees with an opportunity to improve their skills and develop a joint apprenticeship program that encourages their people to earn a 2-year degree in industrial technology. You should know that local GP officials several years ago were extremely supportive when the county legislature was trying to decide whether or not to build a $10 million science and technology building at Clinton Community College. GP and its management helped organize other manufacturing firms in our county. They attended public meetings to provide important information that indicated that such a facility was needed. And President Judson, who was introduced just recently here in our program, I'm sure he can tell you how much he appreciates GP and their support that they have given the Plattsburgh College Foundation's scholarship program and helped a lot of young people attain a college degree. Local Georgia Pacific officials are supportive of a wide variety of activities in our county, whether it's promoting various activities on its bulletin board on Market Street, serving as volunteers in many organizations, and I know I speak for my colleagues in the county legislature when I say that we truly recognize and appreciate the benefits that Georgia Pacific provides to Clinton County. We were pleased to acknowledge these contributions here about a week ago at one of our meetings, and I'd like to present to Mr. Coriel on behalf of the county legislature and on behalf of all the citizens of Clinton County this resolution
which we passed, and we hope that our friendship and our successful relationship with Georgia Pacific will last not only another 35 years, but 70 years and 105 years. And this recognizes the important role that Georgia Pacific has played in our area's economy. We're very pleased to present this to Mr. Coryell from the County Legislature.
Thank you, Don, and I extend my apologies to our county legislature from the town of Plattsburgh, and I apologize I didn't make that note. Now we have our legislative district's member of assembly in Albany, a constituent of mine on Morrison Avenue. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Chris Ortloff.
Thank you, Clyde. This time I yield to Reverend Blanks. Having already given my speech, I would like to say that Clyde mentioned Morrison Avenue. We're delighted. The pavement is going down this week, answering the biggest question we've had on our street for years. Plattsburgh is, as you might have noticed, Pete, some of the streets are torn up this time of year. We always pave our streets in late October. We get much better rates from the contractors that way. Incidentally, that's probably true, all kidding aside. Earlier, I did try to incorporate quickly into the prayer a thought, and some of you may have picked it up, when I invoked the Lord's blessing not only on our people, but on the product that this corporation and our people make. It's long struck me that most of us in this country, from school on, have gotten a misguided or misapprehended view of what a corporation is, what a business corporation is. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that if we think of a business corporation in a slightly different way, we will be closer to the truth. A corporation is an entity, is an organization made up of shareholders, workers, managers, and customers. That the people who buy a corporation's product are as much a part of that organization as the people who mine the raw materials, who ship the raw materials, who mold them and fabricate them, who design the components and direct the operation. Without customers, we have no organization. And so when we talk about jobs, and we do, rightly and proudly so, we must also talk about the product. And when a corporation manufactures a product that's shipped all over the world, it is sometimes, not always, but sometimes not as well known in its own backyard as it is elsewhere. Earlier this afternoon, Chairman Correll and Senator Stafford and some of the GP personnel were sitting around talking, and Senator Stafford asked, correct me if I'm wrong, but I say a third of all the soft tissue in the world is made here. And he was humorously but very pointedly corrected by, what did you say? No, Senator, all the soft tissue in the world is made here. The rest of it is hard. And that is indeed the way we ought to feel about a product made in our community. We know the people. We know the investment. We've heard the mayor say the number of millions of dollars invested here. We understand, because that's what we read about, think about, and talk about. We understand those numbers. But ladies and gentlemen, if it weren't for a superior product, there wouldn't be a mill. There wouldn't be a company. And there sure as heck wouldn't be a job, let alone 554 of them. So for all those reasons, as we think of this and all other business corporations, we do give thanks. And we pat each other on the back. And we breathe a sigh of relief that the spirit of free enterprise and a free, stable, and democratic government has made all this possible. With that, I congratulate you, Chairman Carell, all the men and women of Georgia Pacific, and all those who buy its products. Plattsburgh owes you a great debt of gratitude.
Thank you, Chris. If anybody was reading the Press Republican this morning, and I know that happens once in a while, notwithstanding the fact that we have such great representation by another medium of great repute, and that's Channel 5, I can see a table of them over there. But you'll note in that editorial that the editorial board said that one of the two most significant contributing individuals in the entire North Country in the last half century was our senator. A tremendous man who's been honored in this very room not long ago with another great crowd of people that appreciated his contribution. He's with us here this evening to lend his support in his voice to the salute to Georgia Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize our senior senator representing Plattsburgh and the North Country, in fact the entire state of New York, Ronald B. Stafford.
Reverend Blanks, Reverend Orloff, guests of honor, Mr. Carell, friends with Georgia Pacific and friends of Georgia Pacific all. This is such a tremendous evening. I will share with you one story that I mentioned earlier today with some of the Georgia Pacific people. I live, you're going to think everyone lives near the mill. And everyone lives in the same ward, but I live next to the mill. And there's some of us who get up early in the morning. You who are younger will learn when you get old you don't sleep. Anyway, I always walk by the wood yard. And I am reminded every day of what I learned there in the early 40s, and believe it or not, it was even before the war. And we drew pulp there. In those days it was 4 foot. For those of you who don't remember, it's 4 foot long and it's not light. I won't get into peeling. Anyway, we were there one day unloading, and I was helping. Believe it or not, it was the yard master, the fellow that ran the wood yard, came over to me and patted me on the shoulder and he says, "Young man," he says, "go to school or get in politics. You'll never make it working." And I've always remembered that. And I think he was joking, but the older I get, I'm not sure. Now, talking about soft tissue, I'm very pleased this evening because as I watch those 60 trucks go out in the morning and watch everyone come in at 6 o'clock and leave at 6 o'clock, it used to be I'd gone to school with many of them, not anymore. It's the sons and daughters and grandchildren that are coming in and out. But I've said for a number of years now that we, here in Plattsburgh, thanks to Georgia Pacific, we produce here in Plattsburgh a third, and I use all sorts of terms, but I say soft tissue and other terms, and I'm very pleased. That's a third of what's used in the Northeast. Think of it, the Northeast, the most populated area in the country. Interesting. It's more than a third. So now it's going to be, we produce upwards of 50% of what is used in the East. And just think of that, it's been mentioned earlier, and I'll conclude. It's nothing like being the keynote speaker and everybody else do all the talking. Right? But again, I want to emphasize just the citizen that Georgia Pacific has been. I want to point this out to you. Before Mr. Correll was CEO, he had an interest in Plattsburgh. And he came up, it was about 12 years ago, I think it was 1988, 89, and we had a long talk. And as a matter of fact, thanks to his interest in Plattsburgh, many, many good things have happened for all of us. We could go on and on. What's the advantages of having such a tremendous company? But again, I'll conclude by pointing out it's amazing what you get when you get older. You get kind of a sense of what this is all about. And you learn how important it is in this country for a person to have the opportunity for a good job. And when you talk to people that work at Georgia Pacific, a number of other great companies, great businesses here in our area, that opportunity is provided. And again, if you think about it, that's what puts it all together. Thank you so much, Mr. Correll and your team, for being here. And of course, those of us who go back to the Lozier Works, I'm supposed to laugh. That was in the early 1900s, the Lozier car was made here. And that's the building that's over by the water, where they made a Lozier boat, and they'd slide the boat out. And after that, it was Saranac Pulp and Paper, and then it was Hearst Foster Dixfield, the VFD. And then it changed hands a number of times. Vanity Fair, Georgia Pacific Diamond, Georgia Pacific Diamond, Tenneco, now Georgia Pacific. I can only say, again, how fortunate we are to have Georgia Pacific as a citizen here in our community. And I look forward to our all continuing to work together. Thank you, Pete, for being here.
Thank you, Senator. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone here to enjoy a video production from Georgia Pacific. And that'll commence momentarily. If I could ask the lights to be dim.
We're big. We're really big.
We're one of the biggest forest products companies in the world.
We grow a lot of trees, from one end of the country to the other.
We make a lot of things that people use every day.
It usually surprises them when they realize all the things that we do.
When you think about what your home is made from.
And all the little things you use every day.
That's what we make.
That's what we do.
We're all over the country, Canada, and the world too.
The products I sell go just about everywhere.
So yeah, we're big.
We are Georgia Pacific.
We've created a new business that focuses on growing trees. We're the Timber Company.
This is our whole business, to grow trees and to manage the forest responsibly. That's it. That's what we do.
I've been taking care of this stand for 10 years now. Now, when I first came here, I helped plant these trees. They're a lot taller than their ancestors, and they're healthier too.
I'm proud of what we do here, helping nature along and providing for our future.
Pulp is
the foundation
of everything
that we make in paper. And we make a lot.
I have been cutting lumber for about 30 years. Back when I started, it was a real art in cutting boards from those logs.
Nowadays, new technology has made it faster with hardly any waste.
Fact is, nothing gets wasted these days. We even use the bark for fuel. We work smarter and we work safe.
Sawing logs and making quality lumber, it's still an art.
I feel like I make a difference. The products we produce today make better use of our resources. They're stronger too.
It's amazing how we use this rock. It's not just used for building homes and offices.
We turn it into casting molds, and it's the stuff that makes toothpaste white. It's even used on the space shuttle.
My job is to unlock the secrets inside a tree. Some of the things that we get from these trees can be used in the making of inks and adhesives. Our chemicals are also used in paints.
This is what we make at our plant. It's resin, the glue that holds plywood and other building products together. We develop it. If it had not been for this resin, a lot of houses might not have been built.
I make the chemicals that are used in making paper. These chemicals improve the strength and printing characteristics of the paper you use every day.
People may not be aware of all that we do.
And all the different things that we make.
But I take a lot of pride knowing what I do touches people's lives every day.
I'm proud that I can make someone's life a little better.
I'm proud to be part of this team.
I'm proud this team is taking care of the environment.
I'm proud of our safety record. We're #1 in our industry.
You know, we've been making the things that America builds with for about 4 generations. I think we're going to be around to help folks for as long as the trees keep growing.
I know that what I do isn't going to just make my life better. This land that we manage will always be growing trees, and we'll always be making products that are a part of everyday life, affecting the lives of my children and their children too. I like to think that what we're doing sets an example for others to follow. It's what we do differently that makes us better. We'll always be growing trees, and we'll always be making products that are a part of everyday life, affecting the lives of my children and their children too. I like to think that what we're doing sets an example for others to follow. It's what we do differently that makes us better.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor is a native of Brunswick, Georgia, graduating from the University of Georgia with a bachelor's degree in business administration. And after a year as a technical service engineer with West VATCO, he went back to school at the University of Maine, where he earned a master's degree in both pulp and paper technology and chemical engineering. And after graduate school, Pete spent 10 years with the Weyerhaeuser Company in a variety of managerial positions before joining the Mead Corporation in 1977 as a division president. After 11 years at Mead, which saw him promoted to Senior Vice President, Forest Products, Pete joined Georgia Pacific in 1988 as Senior Vice President, Pulp and Printing Paper. He became Executive Vice President, Pulp and Paper the following year and was elected President and Chief Operating Officer in 1991. And became Chief Executive Officer in May of 1993. Today, Pete serves as Chairman and CEO. In addition to his responsibilities at Georgia Pacific, Pete also is active in many business and civic organizations. He's an immediate past Chairman of the American Forest and Paper Association, Chairman of the Institute of Paper Science and Technology, and a trustee of the U.S. Council for International Business Trade. He's also a trustee of the University of Georgia Foundation. He's on the board of directors of Sears Roebuck and Companies, SunTrust Banks, and the Southern Company. He's past chairman of the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. Gary will appreciate that. Central Atlanta's Progress, chairman of the United Negro College Fund Atlanta campaign, and serves on the boards of the Robert Woodruff Art Center and Atlanta Area Council of the Boy Scouts. In addition, Pete is on the Board of Governors of the Nature Conservancy, a former member of the President's Council on Sustainable Development, and a member of the Board of Counselors of the Carter Center. He received the Brotherhood Award from the National Conference of Christians and Jews in 1991, and the Distinguished Alumnus Award from the University of Georgia Terry College of Business in 1994. He was honored by the American Jewish Committee with his Institute of Human Relations Award in 1995, and most recently was recognized by the Atlanta Business League as CEO of the Year in 1998. And with all those endeavors, all those activities, and all of those time commitments, we are so honored here in Plattsburgh, New York, to welcome as our special guest and keynote speaker, Mr. A.D. Pete Carell.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for all those kind words about me and my colleagues and the company we have. I appreciate you being here, Senator. You've been a friend of our company for many years. In fact, right after I joined the company, as the Senator said, I came up here and we spent some time and talked about the future of Plattsburgh. And Chris, thank you for both your prayer and your kind words, and thank all of the rest of you for what you've done, and Mayor, most especially, thank you for inviting me. I was asked by the news media as to why I came, and I said the mayor asked me to come. And the reason is simple. Plattsburgh is our community, and I appreciate your understanding of what you mean to us. People ask me who we are, and I say we're your neighbor. We've been here for 37 years. We breathe the same air. We share the same weather. We want decent, safe, and happy lives for our families and a brighter future for our children than we had. Not to be too philosophical about it, but Plattsburgh and Georgia Pacific are in this thing called life together, and we like it to be a healthy life. That's what I want to talk to you tonight about for just a few minutes: health. A healthy business, a healthy community, and the general health of our economy. Let's start quickly with business. Georgia Pacific is quite healthy, and so is your operation here in Plattsburgh. The facility here in Plattsburgh is a strategic asset to us because it serves the Northwest Corridor with consumer products, as well as Canada, and a business that's important to Georgia Pacific, the tissue business. There's a list currently circulating on the internet, and you may have seen it. It's a bunch of stuff that you don't need to know. Gee whiz statistics and oddball facts. Like a snail can sleep for 3 years. If the population of China walked past you single file, the line would never end due to the rate of reproduction of the Chinese. Donald Duck was banned in Finland because he didn't wear pants. And Marilyn Monroe had 6 toes. I have to admit that's something I never noticed. Well, that's enough about useless trivia, but some more is as part of our $660 million investment in Plattsburgh. One of it was a new tissue machine, number 7, and it's one of the fastest in the world. How fast it can turn out 650,000 miles of bath tissue a year. That's quite a roll of bath tissue. It's 3 trips to the moon and a lot of tissue, no matter how you look at it. Tissue, and that includes bath tissue, paper towels, and napkins, weren't always a major focus for this company. In fact, when I joined the company in 1988, I met with a group of security analysts in New York, and they said, "Why are you in the tissue business? It must be a hobby." And I said, "Why do you say that?" And they said, "Well, you've never made any money. It can't be a business." And we launched ourselves on a strategy to become a major player in the tissue business, and we have done so. We focused on our consumer brands under the names of Angel Soft, Sparkle, and Coronet. We distributed to major retailers such as Walmart, Kmart, and Target, and very large grocery chains. We supported this with an aggressive advertising program, and the strategy has paid off. Angel Soft, our premium tissue product, had 2% of the market in 1987, and today it has 13% of the national market. Moreover, our success in our own brands has reduced our dependence on private brands. which represented 40% of our sales 10 years ago, and today are less than 5%. To put it simply, tissue is a good business for us, and we're in it. It's a big part of Georgia Pacific. We initiated our current strategy. We've grown our tissue business at 3 times the market growth rate for over 10 years. And we've moved from being an also-ran to being number 3 tissue producer in the United States, just ahead of Procter & Gamble. And this year, we're poised for even greater growth. Through the first 9 months of this year, the tissue industry grew slightly greater than 2% versus our rate of almost 10%. We've grown at 6 times the national rate for years, and the Plattsburgh shipments have increased at 10 times the industry rate. And that has proven by when we ask our customers why you buy tissue from Georgia Pacific, they say because you have the ability to react quickly, to service us in a fast-growing market, and that's due entirely to our people. But I said my subject was health. It so happens that we're trademarking the word sort of as part of our stepped-up effort to grow our tissue market. We've launched an effort called the Georgia Pacific Health Smart campaign to educate consumers about household germs and paper products and what they can do to eliminate germs in homes. You'll be seeing our Health Smart logo on the front of our products, and you'll be seeing our ads. It's one of the biggest advertising campaigns in our company's history, and we expect it to pay off. In fact, we anticipated that our tissue business will have doubled in size from 95 to 2001. Tissue is a good business, so it's only logical that we invest in it. As we're doing here in Plattsburgh, not only with number 7 machine, but a new $6 million 4-color press that will start up late this year or early next year. Plattsburgh was our first tissue mill. Subsequently, we acquired 5 more. Just 2 weeks ago, we added more capacity through a joint venture with Wisconsin Tissue. This venture, which we're calling Georgia Pacific Tissue, it has a catchy name, enables us to grow our tissue business as well as serve the commercial market for tissue, a market that we have not grown as fast in as we have consumer, and it gives us exposure in the fast-growing market in Mexico. In addition, in July, we acquired Unisource Worldwide, the largest distributor of paper products and office supplies in North America. At the time of the acquisition, Georgia Pacific was the only major forest products that didn't own a paper distribution operation, and now we own the largest in the world, and it gives us a direct link with our customers, which will drive even faster growth for our business. We make many more products than bath tissue, paper towels, and napkins that you use in your homes. We make the paper that you use in your copy machines and your printers. When you open a greeting card that makes you smile, that's probably our paper. The corrugated boxes you use to ship holiday gifts and to store your valuables in the attics. We make plywood, lumber, and gypsum that you use to build your home and your deck. As many of you know, the building products business has been very strong this year in this country. So as a company, we're very healthy because that business has driven the second best year in the company's history. I'm reminded of someone who said, it's easy to make a buck, it's a lot tougher to make a difference. It wasn't me, because I can assure you in this business it's never easy to make a buck, but it is harder to make a difference. And we want to do both at Georgia Pacific. We want to make money to keep Georgia Pacific growing and healthy and discharge our responsibility to our shareholders. But we want to make a difference where we do business for everyone who comes in contact with us, our customers, our employees, our shareholders, our friends, and especially our neighbors. There's a lot of talk today about globalization. Well, the market may be global, but the people still love and live and work and play in local communities. It's here, it's down the street, it's a place where we build our homes and raise our families. We have to have a healthy business in order for it to thrive and stay ahead of competition in these tough times, but we need a healthy community more. Healthy communities produce healthy, competent workers who help us produce the earnings we need to keep the company growing, which in turn keeps the community healthy. That's why, under the leadership of Karen Dickerson, our Plattsburgh operation is constantly reaching out to the community. We reach out into the schools through the career program, help students as early as the 8th grade make the right economic choices for their future careers. Through the Learn to Earn program, sending our engineers and other technical employees into the high schools to help teach the value of math and skills in today's workplace. This year we'll begin a pilot program to promote the sciences and technology in them elementary schools, and another pilot program for high school juniors and seniors in partnership with Clarkson University. We reach out to this North Country at all levels, from children to senior citizens, through participation in all parts of this community, from civic groups to volunteer charities. And Karen and her leadership team have challenged all of their co-workers to find better ways to be more involved and make a difference in this community. I have a very personal attachment to this part of the world. You might detect from my accent that I'm not a Yankee by birth. I spent most of the pleasant years of my life, though, not too awfully far from here at the University of Maine in Orono. I was working for another company at the time, and they told me I need to get more education to get ahead. So I applied to Harvard and the University of Maine and was accepted both places. I asked the company where I ought to go, and they said Maine, so I went there and studied chemical engineering, pulp and paper technology. I'm probably the only person on the face of the earth who ever turned down Harvard for Maine, but it's worked out great for me. I learned a lot. At any rate, I'm very fond of this part of the world. Even the winters and the summers, both days. It's just beautiful. I'm also fond of this corner of the world because it's a strategic location for the emerging North America economy. It's the important hub. The Northeast is where it's happened. And this city and this part of the country are important to our strategy. We talk a lot these days about the shift in the economy to so-called knowledge workers. There's a lot of talk about e-commerce and the internet. If you can tack a .com on almost anything these days, venture capitalists line up to give you millions of dollars, and the market is willing to bid your initial offering up to an astronomical level. Profits, well, they just don't seem to matter. You ever get the feeling you're being left behind? That every 23-year-old in California is becoming a gazillionaire while you still can't figure out how to program your VCR. When I was young, a hard drive was getting to my grandmother's house in mud season, and a modem was something you did to hayfields. Well, let's put things in perspective for a moment. We simply cannot exist trading information with each other. Thousands of young MBAs are walking around looking for stuff they can do to sell over the net. A major activity in this country is helping each other shop. But at some point, somebody's got to make something. Somebody's got to make something good, something that people want and they need, and something that has tangible value in our lives. And we do that together here in Plattsburgh. We make products that you use in your life every day. We manufacture, and manufacturing is still the engine that runs this country. Yes, the internet and the information age are getting incredible amounts of publicity. Information about how exciting the information industry is unbelievable. But according to the U.S. economic census, the nation's entire information sector, including publishing, motion pictures, broadcasting, telecommunication, information and data processing, including the internet, generates about 3.2 million jobs, or $642 billion in receipts. Compare that with the nation's largest economic sector, manufacturing. It generates more than 17 million jobs, and the top 5 manufacturing subsectors alone generate more than $2 trillion to our gross national product. And I'd like to repeat again that manufacturing jobs are real jobs with real wages, not stock options, real money, not the currency of the .com world, but something you can spend at a grocery store. Manufacturing jobs tend historically to be the highest paid in the region and to have the highest multiplier effect on a local economy. That's true around the nation, and that's true here in Clinton County. In the last 6 months of last year, Karen and her people hired 60 new employees, and they're looking for 20 more. These are real jobs with real wages. They're jobs of the future because they put a strong emphasis on personal development. In additional formal training, Georgia Pacific and other companies encourage people to get outside education. There's a tuition refund program in place. And for several years, this facility has worked with Clinton Community College to develop joint apprenticeship programs. We at Georgia Pacific are proud of what we're doing here in Plattsburgh, but we know we can do better. October the 19th, that's a day we'd all like to forget, but 12 years ago on this day, the stock market experienced its largest drop in history, 518 points. The market and the general economy rebounded from those dark days into the largest peacetime expansion in history. We got our house in order, we improved our efficiency, we increased our productivity to the point where the United States now enjoys its highest productivity of any country in the world. Our gross national product is now twice that of Japan and 4 times the size of Germany. But we can't become complacent. Those that rest on their laurels are destined to have their laurels handed back to them as weeds. Americans' economic leadership depends on a strong and vibrant economy and an innovative manufacturing sector. We're constantly challenged from abroad, so it's critical that governments and business work together like we have in Plattsburgh, and that business and labor work together like we have in Plattsburgh. We can no longer afford adversarial relationships. The global marketplace is too competitive now. We are all responsible for each other. Where are we now? 75 days from the dawn of the new millennium. I certainly hope the world doesn't end as some forecast, but so someone said the other day, if the world doesn't end, just imagine the terrific going out of business sale we'll all be having. What the new millennium will bring, nobody knows, but I can tell you this. It will be important, and we must all get on board, that information is not enough. People need an elementary sense of justice, the ability to see things as others do, a sense of transcendental responsibility that's the foundation of this thing we call a community. More than 150 years ago, a French visitor to this country, Alexis de Tocqueville, made a number of observations on this American phenomenon. Among those things, I must tell you, was his comment that the singular prosperity and growing strength of the American people could be attributed to one thing, and I quote, the superiority of their women. So we have given you Karen to help this community continue to grow. We have a strong sense of this. We're proud of being a part of this community, and we're truly honored about all the nice things you've said about us, and we owe you far more thanks than you have given us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete. And with another special thank you, I'd like to introduce our Executive Director of the American Red Cross here in Plattsburgh, Miss Jeannie Roberts.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm the right gender. I asked for the opportunity to speak tonight to thank, to show our appreciation from the human services side of the community. And while I'm here, I want to thank all of you for supporting the United Way this year. I happen to be the drive chair. If anybody needs a speech or anything, I'd be glad to do that for you. But my everyday job for the last 13 years next month has been the Director of the American Red Cross. We've been very blessed over the years to have a special relationship with Georgia Pacific employees in many aspects of our chapter. In the health and safety services part, we help to provide first aid and CPR at Georgia Pacific, and we've trained employees so that you can do your own training on your own schedules, and we help to support that. We've been blessed to have people who serve on our board of directors. And most recently, the partnership that we've entered into is one of technology. That will be the largest challenge. Right, Mr. Racine? We're working at it. From the very beginning, when we knew that we had to make some changes to enter into the next century and get through Y2K, which we will do just fine, folks, I'm sure we will, we started making a plan, and then we started putting it into motion. Then we started selecting hardware, then we started selecting software, and we started making a plan for training. And Georgia Pacific and some of the members of the staff have been so patient and understanding with this process with the local chapter staff. And we're going to be just fine, aren't we, Phil? Yes, we are. We have a network that's up and running, but one of the most unique things, maybe some of you don't know, is that the Lifeline program that our chapter sponsors here is one of the most unique in the country because it's been developed locally with a lot of organizations and a lot of networking. And we had to develop our own software, and Georgia Pacific is instrumental in helping us to develop that software so that the 1,000 clients that we have on Lifeline, we're going to be just fine December the 31st and January the 1st. And so I have a gift from the chapter for Karen and her staff, and I'd like to present it to you tonight. To the mayor.
Very good. I'm going to ask Shirley O'Connell to join me, the councilor representing the district that encompasses Georgia Pacific. You know, when people talk about public-private partnerships, I think that Plattsburgh exemplifies that maybe more than any other community, especially when it comes to Georgia Pacific. Whether it's with our very inexpensive electrical rates and service, that was epitomized this past week when we helped GP replace a transformer, and we didn't let them have any downtime doing it. Whether it's treating their wastewater, not every community does that for such an industrial operation. Whether it's caring about their dredging operation in Lake Champlain, or whether it's using some of their waste products in our composting operation. There's a relationship right there that's unparalleled and unprecedented, and it's a true partnership. We have a symbol of a partnership and of faith and of confidence. It's metallic and exemplifies many things other than the words that I just said. Moreover, it exemplifies a confidence, it exemplifies the trust, and it exemplifies being part of a family. And Mr. Carell, I'd like you to please join Shirley and myself here, because together we would like to present you and the rest of Georgia Pacific the key to the city of Plattsburgh. Before the Reverend gives the benediction here this evening, I would like to invite another special person to join me at the podium. And as he approaches the podium, we mentioned earlier this evening that the editorial of today's newspaper extolled two individuals. One who we've recognized earlier this evening, that's Senator Ron Stafford. The other one is Clyde Lewis. And when people say to this Clyde, and I wasn't named after him, by the way, when they say to this Clyde, boy, you had a great idea saluting Georgia Pacific and having a testimonial in their honor, I've told him right along, it's not my big idea. I just took a page out of the playbook of Clyde Lewis, who knew that it's important to say thank you to those who give to the community. And Clyde A. Lewis hosted 154 testimonials, and at the end of it, every testimonial, there was a very special person who we've nicknamed the Old Soldier, who did the farewell at the end. A World War II veteran who was stationed in Morocco, which was pretty beneficial and fortuitous for him, because the second language of Moroccans is French, and that's a language that Joe Bornstein learned when he went to all those bagel shops in Montreal over those many years. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our friend Joe Bornstein, the Old Soldier, for a prayer.
Good evening, everybody. Now, when I used to do those testimonials at the base, and the real number will never be known because Clyde, modest man that he was, kept it fairly low, but it was well over 200. I always began by saying, if the enlisted men, instead of the officers, had run this event, we would have been done an hour ago, and we'd been on our way to Montreal. I can't say that tonight because it isn't true. Of the many dozens and hundreds of dinners that I've been at, this was the very best. And it was the best because all the speakers were so great. They had mercy on the audience. They spoke very well, and Clyde did a great job as the MC. But the big hit of the evening was my friend Pete. And let's give him a big hand before I forget that. Okay, Pete. I've got a deal for you. First of all, let me tell you that I'm probably the oldest person here, and I was only 28 when Georgia Pacific came here. And I was pretty good looking. I had a shock of blonde hair upon my head and was often mistaken for Steve McQueen at that particular time. But let me tell you something. I worked for the last 10 years. When I was 68, I got a job right here in SUNY Plattsburgh, and I'm still working. And one of the things I have to do is help the kids write a resume. And in my entire life, I have never seen a resume like Pete's got. That's a resume and a half, and that should make you laugh. Also, I've had the pleasure of working with Georgia Pacific in the following way. In my early years, I was on a lot of places like, I was 27 years on the board of the Y, and when the Y needed money, Georgia Pacific led the league in giving. It was terrific. But Pete, I'm going to end, because I don't speak very long, but I want you to remember this very well. Here's what I want you to do. As soon as you're too young to retire yet, but when you get to be that age, and the first thing I want you to do is come back to Plattsburgh. I will gather this group of people who spoke tonight, some Republicans, some Democrats, some independents, and I will form a committee to run you for President of the United States. And I can tell you this, you'll win in the walk. You really will. The best possible candidate that I've ever seen is with us tonight. We thank you very much for being here. We thank Georgia Pacific for being here, and may you and Georgia Pacific prosper right through and well into the next century. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. God bless. We'll see you in the next century, I'm sure.
Thank you, Joe. You still got it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a terrific evening, and it's only appropriate that we enjoy and participate in a benediction offered by Reverend Franklin Blanks. Reverend?
Mayor Rabideau, Chairman Correll, Mr. Spring, Ms. Dickinson, also to my honored team leader, Mr. Sid Smith, to all my colleagues of the Dust Suckers Guild. We give you honor, but it's my distinct honor to be able to pronounce this final blessing upon all of our honored and esteemed guests, as well as all of the business leaders who represent. Pray with me, if you will. Our Father and our God, we honor you in your omnipotence and your omniscience. We thank you for the opportunity of gathering together in such fellowship, in the congregation of such minds, such exemplary development, that you have orchestrated. We ask your special blessing upon our leaders, Mayor Rabideau, Chairman Correll, Guide them. Give them your vision. Guide them with your will. That their decisions will develop the people that work under their organizations according to your divine design. And as we leave this place, Lord God, we ask that you would continue to guide them in their decisions. We ask, oh God, that you would impart within us a spirit of safety as we work in our workplaces, a spirit of excellence as we produce those products that we make. And we thank you, God, once again for this grand opportunity to gather under your wing. We ask your blessing and we decree it be so here on earth. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very kindly, Reverend. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's ceremonies. I thank you for attending. God bless you all.
Man, no wonder.
And just in time, now that this wonderful civic testimonial is finished and my voice is going down with the sun, Karen Dickinson is here, the plant manager. What do you think of tonight, Karen?
I think it was absolutely wonderful. It really was. Everybody here with GP, like Pete said, we thank the community. We really appreciate that the city is taking the time and the effort to talk to Georgia Pacific about being a good citizen, and quite honestly, it was absolutely wonderful. It really was.
How long have you been up here?
Oh, I'm an old native. I've been here over a year now.
Have you really? Yeah. It's a pretty good place to live and to meet the people. They're a nice bunch of people up here.
Absolutely gorgeous. You know, I'm from the South. You wouldn't realize that, would you?
No, I would never have guessed, like Pete.
But been here through a winter, so I think I can make it now. 4 seasons. The summer was absolutely gorgeous, and now the fall's here, and I'm getting ready for winter. Got skis out, ready to go.
I love Pete's joke. Both days, summer and winter, both days. Yeah. We're delighted to have you here. It was just a pleasure to pay tribute to this great organization, and we hope you stay for a long time, Karen.
Thank you. This is home. This is home.
Glad to have you here. Thanks again, Karen.
Thank you.
Well, it's 20 minutes before 10. We started this about 6 o'clock tonight. And I must say, it's been an extreme pleasure. It's been especially great for me and those people who've been around this community for a long time, because we did so many of those testimonials from the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. It's great, while the economy is healthy and growing every day in the North Country, to pay tribute to such a wonderful organization as Georgia Pacific. We're proud to bring it to you on Hometown Cable for our little corner. And who knows where we're going to be next time and how good my voice is going to be the next time you see us on our little corner.